Hi, this is M from Survival Guide. You're listening to the Fascination Street podcast.
Yeah! AV in your ears. That's Ambush V giving you this audio visual down the most interesting street in the world. With my boy Steve, Fascination Street. You already know. Let's get it. When you whip in the Fascination Street, what do you...
Welcome back, Streetwalkers. This episode is with Nils Rasmussen, better known in music circles as Uncle Outrage. Nils is a musician, born and raised and currently living in Canada, and he has a new album out. It is a compilation album titled Greatest Shit, spanning his more than 20-year career. This is a vinyl record, which is put out by Cacophony Clan Records, and there's 19 songs on it, and 2 of them are brand new, even though this is a compilation. In this episode, we talk about what it's like to grow up in Canada and the burgeoning music scene, and what kind of music there is, was, and the kind that inspired Nils. We talk about some of the people that have been inspired by Nils' music over the years. Some bands in other countries cover his music. People get tattoos. Somebody named their horse after him. All this crazy stuff. We even take a little bit of a detour into his sci-fi short story writing. Nils graciously lets me play my favorite song off the album. It is called Worst in the World. And he also lets me play his most talked about and beloved song called Stay Magical. Like I said, Cacophony Clan Records put out this vinyl. This is his first vinyl offering. And again, it's a compilation album in 19 songs. It is called Greatest Shit. You can find it at Cacophony Clan Records online website. And if you want to, you can reach out to Nils via email and get a personalized copy as well. He gives his personal email address in the episode, so make sure you check that out. And this is my conversation with Nils Rasmussen of Uncle Outrage.
Prepare to be fascinated. Prepare to be fascinated. Prepare to be fascinated.
Welcome to Fascination Street Podcast, Nils Rasmussen. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing really good. How is everybody?
I can't speak for everybody else, but I am kicking all of the ass. I'm having a great day. What is that behind you? It looks like a butter sculpture of me.
Since people can't see it, it's from about a little below the shoulders built up, and that's a death mask. So they I didn't do it, but you take a dead body, you get a makeshift like plastic or...
Like a mold? Yeah.
Yeah. And so basically you do half of the body's mold or just up to there. You flip the dead body around and you do the reverse. You stick them together.
It's a mold of a dead body?
Yeah, so I don't know who that is, but that's some dead guy who had the process done. My mom is actually in the television makeup effects industry, so that's hers. I was hoping that would end up like somehow far in the background, just enough that when you watch this later, you'll be like, what the hell was that? But
that is fantastic. How bizarre.
I'm very new to Zoom, so...
Sure. And then right next to it, we talked about this off air, but why don't you tell me what that trophy is right there, my man?
It's about 3 birthday cake stacks high of the hockey pool I won last season. We do our draft for the hockey pool on October 5th, I believe. And the tradition is for the winner of the previous season to hand it over to the winner of playoff draft. And then that person hands it off at the end of the playoff draft and so on. So I'll be saying goodbye to my summer trophy, which I've taken many photos of. Oh, hold the camera, Mom, and take it while it's... Yeah. So I've got plenty of photos. I won it when I was 15 as well. So I've been in this league for a long time.
Wow, that is a long time. Nice.
Up where I live, hockey's entrenched in every baby.
Well, let's get to where you live. What I like to do, Nils, is I like to get to know the guests from all the way to the beginning. It helps us understand how the guests got from where they were to where they are. So where were you born and raised, man? Where'd you grow up?
I was born, am still currently in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And Alberta, if you're not a Canada-phile, Alberta is kind of like a state. So when I say Alberta, I'm kind of like saying I'm from California. And Edmonton is the capital city of Alberta. On a map, I'm more on the west than I am in the east. I'm on like the Midwest, right by the Rocky Mountains that separates into where Vancouver is.
Gotcha. The Couve.
Yeah, right by Jasper.
Oh, okay. The only Canadian city I've been to is Toronto, and that was about 10 years ago for my birthday. It was wild, dude.
How do you find the comparison?
It seemed like an American city. Oh, except that the underground. Have you ever been to Toronto?
I have, yeah, yeah.
So downtown Toronto, I guess maybe because it gets so cold, I'm not really sure why, but there's a beautiful metropolis above ground, but then below ground, there's like this whole series of tunnels, and it's like a mall. It's so bizarre. It's like this whole industry, commercial, and just like there's restaurants and clothing stores and all this other crazy shit underground. And I asked somebody, well, why is that there? And they were like, well, because in the winter it gets so cold, everybody wants to be underground. I was like, that's so weird.
You're not just talking about the thing hooked up to the LRT, the subway, are you?
No, I'm talking about like under the city. There's like this
This
whole
comes
mall.
as news to me.
Well, you do live far
Yeah.
away, and I am
Yeah.
I'm more of a Canadaphile than you. No, I'm just kidding.
But I mean, I've been there and I've never heard of this.
It's so crazy.
I'm literally going to look it up after.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's wild as hell.
Yeah.
It's like literally, there's like a whole mall under there. It was weird.
Oh yeah, under France, there's all those skulls.
Wildly different.
We're just doing it with capitalism in mind, I
There
guess.
you go. Okay, cool. So we're gonna go all to the way back. So you were born in
85.
you were born the same year that Back to the Future came out.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, I'm turning 40 next April.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. What actually happened was, if you want to go way back, before I was into any kind of music, I came across, me and my friends were wandering, 13 years old, just wandering around like playgrounds and stuff near to my house. And we came across a punk show that was being done in a community hall. I'm an only child. I've had no exposure to any punk at that age. And we went in, paid the like $1, $2 ticket for the community center thing. And I was just blown away. So I went from somebody who didn't know the difference between like a bass guitar and a guitar, like what they do, the bass, drum, snare. I didn't give a shit. But like instantly that one night got me like, I want to get in on this, right? So I started learning guitar lessons. I'm also big into art, like drawing and painting and all that shit. And if I come up to something that's like a musical instrument, I instantly want to make something that's mine. I don't feel that urge to, oh, I wonder if I can play Metallica, right? That has never interested me, which is the majority of guitar players out there just memorize the muscle memory for what their favorite band or whatever.
Right.
But as I was being taught the instrument, he was also teaching me songwriting built into what I was learning, basically like how it's used in a song. So I'm not sure many people have grown up with lessons with songwriting being in mind as they're taught the instrument. I went from there. Initially, we were playing punk music, right? Because, punk, right? I still love punk. But me being an only child, I still wanted to write songs when I didn't have friends over or whenever I wanted. And the only thing besides guitar I had was a little shitty Casio keyboard with the A missing. And I started using the computer mic, which at the time was Windows 99, and they had a Windows record. So I would just take the computer mic, put it by the Casio keyboard, write these songs beforehand, press record, and then just go. And that's how I started into my songwriting. And as I went, I kept adding funny things. I wanted to document these things for myself. And the cloud back in 99 didn't exist. I don't even think Dropbox existed.
I don't think it did either.
No, I don't think it did. So the only place I could have all these songs and not clutter up my computer, which would have like a 5 megabyte, that was the hard drive. The only way I could do this was by uploading all my songs to mp3.com. And that was basically like a big file folder for me. As I was adding them up and going, I found that I was getting fans. And me posting these songs, I had no intention of getting any fans, but people started gathering on, and like, I guess they noticed they were written well, even though my initial songs sound like a little kid's keyboard and a chipmunk, because I wasn't confident in my voice. I just sped up the music and whatever. But as more and more fans reached out to me and said, yo, these songs are really good. You should look into being a band. I followed their advice. I just got my closest friends and we started playing shows and recording. We got our first studio album in 2004, which if I hadn't dragged my feet this summer a little more, we could have released the record I've got coming up this month to be an exact 20th anniversary, because I think that first record was dropped late August 2004.
Wow. So you put your first album out when you were 19 years old?
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. I'm very, very proud of that still.
Oh, cool. What was the name of that album?
Bonecock Volume 1.
Bone Cock?
Yeah. We were just screwing around for the first several years.
Sure. No. I read somewhere that you started Uncle Outrage, this is a quote, as a hobby or a joke.
Yeah. In those first songs, I was just writing them and I was putting them up on a shelf, but I didn't know the reason I was doing so. And a lot of the lyrics that I was recording myself going were just mumbling. I would find what sounded like the closest thing I was mumbling to. And okay, that's the word, right? So those first songs have a lot of non sequitur lyrics of like.
So hold on. So are you saying that the recording was so bad that you couldn't even tell what you were saying?
Yes. Well, I'm not sure how many singers do it, but I find the melody first and then I try and weave with the amount of syllables and stuff what the actual thing is. Sometimes my lyrics will still not make sense at all, and if someone thinks it makes sense, fine, whatever, that's cool. That was on the extreme side. The lyrics I would write would just be ridiculous, insane. Let's see how far I can take this before they're stopped being able to be called lyrics kind of thing. So a lot of it was tongue-in-cheek stuff.
Got you. Now, we talked a little bit off mic about your parents. I'm assuming your parents are still married because you're Canadian?
No.
Oh.
It was never one of those things that upset me. I actually was like, oh, okay, I got 2 houses now. So that was around when I was 11. So that's a good age for, if your parents out there and you want to get divorced, wait till your kid's 11.
11.
Yeah, that's the year. I went kind of back and forth for a while, but I mainly was from about 11 till 16 over at my dad's. And my dad is way more famous than me. He's the cartoonist who draws the comic strip Betty.
Betty?
Yeah, the blonde chick who like has a husband who has a nose that's kind of bumpy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Your dad is Jerry Rasmussen?
That's right, with Jerry with a G.
Check you out. Ain't you the neatest?
So I was raised with like both parents being an artist. My mom does makeup special effects for movies. She's done like Brad Pitt and like big movies. I don't know many movie stars. I know Brad Pitt, but.
How cool is that? So you got good creative genes.
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
A lot of people who are in the industry of Hollywood and or whatever, creative endeavors, they don't want their kids to go into that particular industry. They say it's too hard, it's too demoralizing, it's just a bad deal. So what was it that your parents wanted you to do, or did they have an idea?
Like, they're super supportive. I don't just write music, I also write science fiction on the side.
I knew it.
It doesn't make as much money.
I knew it. You do short stories.
Yeah, I do.
I was listening to an extremely wrong number earlier.
Yeah. That's
I knew that was you.
that was me. That was a really cool getting my first story narrated by somebody else. You can find it on YouTube too if you're curious.
It's also on Spotify.
Is it on Spotify too?
Yeah, that's where I heard it. Yeah, it's on Spotify.
I love finding out I'm more famous than I am.
Bro, you're popular.
I've never been comfortable with the band getting popular, but it's amazing. I always have my mind blown.
So all of your music, was it always released under Uncle Outrage?
Yes.
Yeah, always Uncle Outrage. So Uncle Outrage is 20 years old?
Older, yeah, because I started releasing music, I'd say 6 months into learning how to play guitar.
Oh, wow.
It's grown up with me.
How do you feel like you have grown as a musician in all of this time, this 20 plus years? Just the musician piece. How do you feel like you've grown as a musician?
Well, aside from like learning what a bass guitar is as opposed to a real guitar, which is where I started from when I started recording, it would be shallow for me to say like the spick and span, like making a song sound really well produced. Because I am very proud of that. We record and master all the stuff as well. Like I do it all from start to finish. So the songs are all spick and shiny right now, which I am proud of. But I think the biggest thing was continuing to be able to latch on to things that might sound disharmonious at first, but end up going together. So being able to recognize something so disparate and goes with something else that I've been working on earlier. So the writing's just gone better and better in my head.
So as far as musicality, you feel like you're a better puzzle maker? Like you put all these different pieces together a little better than maybe you did when you started?
That's a good way of putting it. I mean, I think of songs kind of like you said, like puzzle pieces that all switch together. You can go down and do a certain thing, but you have to be able to come back and attach that somehow, like the end of a puzzle. So, yeah. Have you heard of the musician Savant?
I've heard of, but I couldn't name a Savant song.
He has autism, and in one interview I saw, he equates writing music with, I can't remember his exact quote, but to paraphrase, it's kind of like watching a landscape go by when you're listening, which I've also heard in math savants. When they hear letters, they can see structures in their mind, and being able to recognize which patterns go together. It's kind of like when you're first learning math and you like 2 and 2 always equals 4. This is awesome, right? So every time I come across a new way of writing, I get that eureka moment. I've got a lot of eurekas saved up, which feels great.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors. Let's get back into it.
We're going to bounce all over the place, Nils.
Yeah, that's totally fine.
I want to go back to your sci-fi short stories.
Yeah, sure.
When did you decide that you wanted to write short stories? Like, how did that come to be?
Well, I was raised watching Star Trek, but I wasn't a fan of sci-fi until I was about 20, in which case my stepdad, he was an English teacher. He went to university and went like all the way to the end before getting his doctorate. But when he found out that I was getting into sci-fi movies like 2001 and stuff, he showed me a few books from when he was a kid with some older authors. Like 2 of my favorite authors of all time are Robert Sheckley and Harlan Ellison,
Okay.
which are both 50s, 60s sci-fi. And as I continued to look for more and more new authors, as anyone would from that era, I noticed a lot of really, really shitty writing. Oh, I did stand-up comedy a while for the same reason, where you see enough bad comics that you think, I can do the better than this, right? And then I just think, as almost a test to myself, wait a minute, can I do better than this? Let's give it a try, right? I haven't had any success with the stand-up. I've only done about 7 or 8 of those, but the sci-fi thing was just, I've got an audiobook collection of 1,640 writers or authors in my library.
Wow.
1640. I'd say in about 80% of that is science fiction. So I've listened to, and old radio shows I love too. Initially listening to them, looking out for samples, but then I got into them. A lot of discovering new writers was looking for samples in old radio shows and finding ones that I actually enjoyed.
Wow. That sounds cool as hell. I love how one thing kind of led to the other. One passion opened you up to another passion. That's pretty cool.
Before you pointed that out, I did not realize that I started listening to the old radio shows because I was looking for samples. So
That's awesome. You're welcome.
my life makes a lot more sense.
That's what we do here. I try to make your life make more sense to you. Okay, so back to Uncle Outrage. As I understand it, you've recorded, I don't know, over 100 songs from like your house, right?
Yeah.
Are there other people in Uncle Outrage, or do you do everything?
Initially, it was me and my three best friends who hung out every weekend anyway. I taught H, who was my best friend since kindergarten, how to play guitar. And he eventually, not eventually, pretty quickly, he surpassed my skills. So we thought, hey, we'll use him as our guitar player. H's first name is Matt, so he was Matt H in school, so H.
Sure.
The bassist was also Matt. Poles is his last name. So, okay, Poles. We got H and Poles. Poles played the bass. My buddy, well, all of our buddies, Ryan, he initially didn't know how to play piano. He'd taken like one or two lessons, but we're like, that's enough. We can play it. Like, we'll figure it out. So Ryan was basically had to learn the synth or else stop hanging out with us. So he learned how to play the synthesizer every weekend. If we didn't have a show and we're just in my garage getting drunk or whatever, we'd play a show and slowly we started to get like local recognition and got up to a certain point. I guess the right person never ended up hearing us, but I'm hoping that I'm famous after I'm dead. 75 years from now, I'm pretty sure I'll be a household name, and I'm just going to die happy with that.
You want to wait until after you're dead, like Van Gogh or somebody?
Yeah, it gives me something to look forward to when I'm dead.
Okay, we're going to talk about some of your stuff as a musician. What is this Tom Green thing? Now, Tom Green, he's a Canadian, right?
Yeah, he was a Canadian, and it's a very sketchy link. One of the bands I grew up listening to, it turned out also listened to me because on mp3.com there were a lot of little communities and startup bands. So I became friends with one of the starter bands that was my friend on mp3.com was a band called Daiquiri. I was trained as an audio engineer. I got the behind the scenes training for IATSE. So when concerts came into town, big ones, I would be dragging cables out of trucks and helping set up the audio for like Coliseum shows and stuff like that. I got to watch a lot of bands from the wings or backstage growing up, which was awesome. I was the boom guy on a little known Tom Green movie called Freezer Burn, which was a low budget comedy, not really worth your time. A couple of funny parts, but anyway, so Tom Green's one of his best friends is his cameraman, which is convenient because they go everywhere and film him doing his stuff, right? His cameraman's lead singer of Daiquiri.
How cool is that?
I was a big fan of Tom Green growing up, so that was, oh, Tom Green, cool, nice to meet you. Oh, shit, you're the guy from Daiquiri. Nice to meet you, too. And he knew who I was.
Wow.
Yeah. So we got photos taken, stuff. Yeah, that was really cool, and getting to meet Tom Green and Mike.
As I understand it, in the early days of the internet, there was a musical platform in Canada, which you have brought up repeatedly, called mp3.com. If I am correct, you were one of the most listened to artists overall on that platform and the top artist in Canada on that platform. What?
One of those is wrong. I was number 3 on Canada.
You know what? Secretly, when you weren't looking, I murdered number 1 and number 2. So congratulations. Now you're number 1.
Okay, I don't think we have much more coming from Avril Lavigne, so you're safe.
Was she one of them?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Check you out. So what did that do for you? Anything at all? I don't know. Did it give you an ego?
I still have conversations that started off as fan letters from people 23, 22 years ago that have been fans and following the band ever since then. They found me, and for whatever reason, what I was doing stuck with them. And they followed me throughout my budding career. And I've stayed in touch with a lot of people who have continued to love the band, which is, again, just blows my mind.
I love that you were able to build a community so long ago and when you were so young, and that community still rolls right through to today. That's super dope.
Yeah. I'm still getting letters from kids fresh out of high school thanking me because they had a soundtrack to go to school to. And I've got a lot of people who've said it. The song, especially the song Stay Magical, has helped them through hard times. And like people literally saying they wouldn't have killed myself had I not written that song.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what does that do to somebody? Like nobody's ever said that, hey, you know what? If it wasn't for fascinations, nobody's ever said that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what does that do to you? Does it affect you when you like does it make you more
Yeah.
introspective when you're writing? Like how does that affect you?
It's very humbling to start with because, I mean, what do you say to that? A thank you doesn't survive. Like, that's not enough. But it made me, number one, first off, realize that what I'm writing here, people are actually taking seriously and onto some level. Or if they're not taking it seriously, I'm doing something that matters to someone. So I've had songs in the past where the band was just like going overload on, like, oh, let's offend people or do this or whatever. I'm more careful with my lyrics now.
Wow, that's a big burden, I feel like. I feel like that's a heavy thing to walk around with in a good
Yeah,
way, but still.
I mean, I've heard 6 or 7 kids who've come out and said that, and that's a worrying amount of kids listening to one unsigned band who've almost killed themselves, but not because of a song. I mean, that's if it's 7 or 8 kids, it's not a coincidence. So I mean, that makes me feel special that I was able to do that.
Do they all reference the same song?
All but one.
And what is the song again?
Stay Magical.
Well, this is way early in the show for me to ask this, and I had not planned on it, but since this song means so much to so many, can I play that song on this episode?
Of course.
Will you do me a favor?
Sure. What do you need?
Will you introduce it like you're a radio DJ?
Up next on the dial, here comes Uncle Outrage and their ballad, Stay Magical.
Diamonds are your brand new source of food. Only you've got nothing, nothing to lose. It looks just like it does in books. There's no more magic in me. Sucking dicks and giving looks. I've got to stay magical. You make me chew at my nails. Your breath is hot on my feet. The skin is probably unfair. Now I know what's in between the sheets. I thought you were just a tiny ant. Run the balls in my back with your tiny hands. Put the diamonds on your brand new source of food. Only you've got nothing, nothing to lose. It looks just like it does in books. There's no more magic in me. Sucking dicks and giving looks. I've got to stay magical. Stay magical. Stay magical. Stay magical. Stay magical. Stay magical. It looks just like it does in books. There's no more magic in me. Sucking dicks and giving looks. I've got to stay magical.
Well, that is super rad. I really appreciate you letting me play that song. I'm not going to lie, I have not heard that song, so I'm really, really looking forward to it. You are somewhat of an influence across Canada and all over the world. And what I mean by that is there's bands in Russia that cover your songs. How? I know that the internet is a magical thing, but what's going on, man?
I don't know. I've got 2 covers. Overall, I think I've had around 30 bands either send me an email of a finished cover or send me a request to cover a song. There's more than a few covers out there you can find on YouTube or SoundCloud where they're singing my lyrics, but they're not singing English words. They're singing what it sounds like to them. Which is really funny. Where it's almost as if I was to try and sing a Russian song but didn't know the words, and I just try and mime what it sounds like to me. So there's a few words that aren't words, but it blows my mind. What this turned out being compared to what it could have just been blown off and I'll go skateboarding instead, I'm very thankful for.
Since you know that those bands have made covers, that means to me that they've released them. They're not just playing them in their basement. They've released them on some sort of a platform. Is that right?
You can find a lot of covers on YouTube and SoundCloud, but
Right.
I think there's one that was an Edmonton only release that was Edmonton bands covering other Edmonton bands. And that was something that was just like, ask, oh yeah, you can go cover that. I didn't followed it up or anything, but
So when something like that happens, do they reach out and ask you, hey, is it okay if I cover this song?
yeah, the answer is always yes to anyone who's listening and might want to do that.
Ask first, anybody who is listening. Ask first,
You
but
don't
then
know, you
he'll
don't
say
know-
yes.
Not with me.
Oh,
You
yes,
can
you
just-
do. No, you have to ask. No, you have to ask. Look, he's
No,
just being extra Canadian right now and just giving permission for everything. But yes, you have to
I don't
ask.
want rules. There shouldn't be rules. Like, I like it when I get sent an email and it's like, oh, by the way, me and my friends, I made a cover of this. And then I get to listen to it right there. I mean, I'm going to say yes anyway. So,
That's why it's okay to ask, because you're guaranteed a yes.
yeah, it is very Canadian. Yes.
I know that you're not really a TV guy, and you're probably not even a social media guy, really. But are you familiar with Reddit?
My ex-fiance was. I kind of know about it.
For those listening who might not know, Reddit is basically kind of like a message board for angry assholes with a keyboard. And so whatever there is, like you can just say, oh, I don't know, let's just say the word cotton. There's probably a Reddit forum dedicated to people talking about what a bunch of pieces of shit cotton is.
There's probably 10 of them.
It is my understanding that there is actually a subreddit about you. And it is also my understanding that in this subreddit, they don't say bad things about you. They just talk about how much they love you.
Yeah, that's rare if you have never been on Reddit for people to not hate everything. I think the last time I looked at the forum, it was about 6 months ago, so I'm not sure if there's anything new. I don't know when it was created or by who.
Clearly, it was created by one or more fans, because, like I said, this whole thing reads like a love letter to you.
I don't know, honestly.
And in the spirit of things that are inspired by you, did you know that there's a girl who named her horse Uncle Outrage?
I heard she was going to do that. I think she asked if, is it okay that I can name my horse Nils? I'm like, I'd love if you named your horse Nils.
She didn't name the horse Uncle Outrage. She named the horse Nils.
Oh, no, it was Uncle Outrage. That's
Okay,
right. Yeah.
all right.
I think there's also a Nils out there as well.
That's wild.
There's a Nils chinchilla as well. Yeah, chinchillas are my soul animal.
What about tattoos? There's fools out there with a tattoo of you on their body.
Not my face, thank God.
Is it your butt? They just tattooed your butt?
No, I mean, it's easy. My butt is, if you want to draw my butt from a radio description, I know we're kind of going on a tangent here, but let's have a human figure to the side and just keep the back going straight down, straight down, straight down. And usually when you get to the part with the butt, when you like bump it out, don't do that. You just keep going into the legs.
So the profile of your butt starts at your shoulders and ends at your calves?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes. I have no butt. Like my legs turn into my back.
Cool. That's awesome.
The aspiring artists out there, if you want to do a drawing of that, that's accurate. I'm not sure if there's if someone's lasered it off or how many more there might be out there, but I am aware of 6 Uncle Outrage tattoos.
Now, is this the words or is this lyrics? What's the art? What's the tattoo?
2 of them, I believe, were on people's wrists. They got the lyrics "Stay Magical" on their wrists, just for help therapy or whatever.
Are these 2 people some of the same people that were saved by that song?
I imagine so.
Okay.
I think there's one of them that just says Uncle Outrage in fancy handwriting, and then the other 3 are variants that say Uncle Outrage, and then there's one of my first albums released on mp3.com. The cover had a drawing of mine. It's called a clover mite. It's like a little bug with like crab claws. It was a very small green mite called a clover mite. I saw one in my house once. The house I was living in was filthy and had like all these different kind of bugs. So that album's cover was the clover mite, and I've continued using that same drawing throughout the whole band's career.
No.
And so I've got 3 people with the drawing of the bug on.
Of the clover mite?
Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors. Let's get back into it.
Now let's talk about your new album. You have a new compilation album, right? It is called Greatest Shit.
Yeah.
There's 19 songs on this, right?
Yeah.
And you are going to release it on vinyl. Now, before we get to why you're doing vinyl, why now? Is it because it's 20 years? That's why you're doing the greatest shit? Why are you doing a compilation?
Partially because I did do an early compilation in 2010, and that was basically the best of 3 CDs, and which, I don't know, the best of 38 songs or something isn't that, you don't have that much to pick through. But now I've released 3 or 4 albums since then. I have much more, the whole body of work is a lot more easy to pick through as to what's the best. And it's nostalgic for me to listen to the last 20 years of my life in 45 minutes. I think that was the limit on the record. And for me to sit back and go, wow, I've accomplished some cool shit. But there's also 2 new songs never released that are going to be on the record. And I think they both have a right to be there. They're awesome. So
what are the 2 new songs?
first one's called I Got a Robot.
Did you?
It explains it in the song.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. But I Got a Robot and a remake of an older song called 2024 School.
Now, how can that be an old song if we're just now in 2024?
It's a remake. Yeah.
What was it called before?
Old School, and then New School, and then 2024 School.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So if you had to describe this album, I really hate when people ask to narrow down to a genre, but I'm going to ask you anyway. What genre? Like, how would you describe this music?
Usually, if this interview were being done on paper, I would write post-genre just to piss you off.
Oh, nice.
But I'll try and be friendly with it. I'll just say some of the bands that kind of influenced slash
Okay.
similar. Band we get compared most to is Mindless Self-Indulgence,
Okay.
which not everybody's familiar with, but I would say they're pretty world famous. I'd also say like Devo, The Faint, 9 Inch Nails with the sense of humor. Bands like Crass and Flux of Pink Indians, The Descendants, like even Blink-182. And then you get some drum machines and synths in there. That sums it up well.
Now, I've heard a few songs off the album, like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
Of the ones that I've heard, my favorite is Worst in the World.
Oh, so you must have heard I Got a Robot and it was just on in the background. But yeah, Worst in the World was fun.
Wait, why do you say that?
It would be track 2.
I did not. What I got sent to me was...
Oh, you got sent? That's why. I thought you had the record. Okay.
No, I got it sent to me. I don't have it yet. Is it out yet? I didn't think it was out.
I don't have any copies yet. Cacophony Clan, the record label that we got like going for this, that have helped basically made this record happen. It just got in his hands and now it's in the postal service for me.
Got you.
It's not yet out, but I'm going to have a few copies thanks to Peter, probably on Monday or Tuesday.
Oh, cool. So tell me about how you came to be working with Cacophony Clan Records. How did that happen?
People who know people, and he got in contact with me and said, would you ever be interested in working on a project? And yeah, hell yeah. I've always done CDs. Then our last album, Skunkworks, was done on a USB CD. So not a CD, but like
a flash drive.
Yeah, it had a album art and there was like a wooden USB drive that has like Uncle Outrage and blah, blah, blah printed on it.
And so that's what you sent out to people?
Yeah, that was Skunkworks.
How cool is that? Whose idea was that?
That was my idea. But as cool as it is, there's no place to like put it. Once it's on your computer, it's on your computer. The record is pretty cool, but there's nowhere to tuck it in or anything. So I thought, well, I could either do like a Bandcamp release, but I'd never done a record before, and being approached.
A vinyl record.
What did I say?
You said a record, but people call albums records and
yes.
records albums, but you're talking about a physical, actual vinyl record.
Yes.
Okay.
So having only done the CDs and USB prior to now, getting to have a record, which people are, I guess, listening to again, is what I hear.
Yeah.
I used to have a record player. I don't. But so now that they're coming back in vogue, and I usually do all artwork for the front covers and stuff. So getting to see my own work as big as a record would be really cool.
Well, stay tuned for the mail on Monday or Tuesday.
You betcha.
I love vinyl. The first present my now wife gave to me for Christmas was a record player, and I still have it. It's sick as hell. I love it.
I need to get me one of those now.
You do, yeah. You're gonna have to go next time you go to your friend's house. You're gonna knock on the door, and they're gonna be like, "What? Hockey's not on." You're gonna be like, "I know. I need to borrow your record player now."
Yeah, that's. It's like you're psychic.
I am psychic. Back to Worst in the World.
Yeah.
As I said, of the songs that I heard off this new album, that's my favorite one. And I was hoping. I know I already asked you for a lot of stuff when I asked you to let me play that other song earlier, but.
Yeah.
Can I play Worst in the World off of your new vinyl?
You can do whatever you want.
Oh, thanks.
Sure.
You said that there's only 2 new songs on this vinyl compilation. How old is Worst in the World? What album is that from? When is that from?
That would be from 2008.
It doesn't sound like a 2008. And like when you were saying there's only 2 brand new songs, I was waiting for you to say that that was one of them because it sounds so of now. It sounds of today.
Well, I'm hoping that works for me.
It sounds really great. I love that song. That's a good song. You want to introduce this one too?
All right. Cacophony Clan Records releases Uncle Outrage new record on vinyl. Here comes the track, Worst in the World.
Look at me, I'm a superstar. All I need is what I've got now. Can never finish, never really fall apart into sin, to sin, to sin, to sin. Now I'm left out for memory, still a lot
Nils, what do you see for the future of Uncle Outrage? I mean, I know that you couldn't possibly have foreseen this much of a future for that little side project you started when you were a kid.
Yeah, weird. It's followed me around, and right now I've got the bassist to own all bassists, Zane Noble. Basically, right now, whatever I write out, we go back and forth through email. I'll write something, throw it to Zane. He'll bump something up. I'll go back and fix it and stuff. And he's great to have on board, but it's kind of like an online band right now. I haven't played a show since before COVID. I was kind of curious to ask you what the punk rock scene in around where you live is like, because I've got no shows to play.
San Antonio is not really a punk rock city. There's a real big Tejano music scene. Since you're in Canada, you might not be familiar, but Tejano music is basically Mexican folk music. So there's, accordions, a lot of bass and a lot of bass drum. Like,
Oh yeah, there's still like rock gigs though?
yes, there is also rock
Okay.
stuff, but it's like less punk, more like metal, I guess, is in this town.
Metal.
Yeah, like are you familiar with like Pantera or
Yeah.
okay, so
Yeah.
like Pantera, Metallica, Slayer, stuff like that, that's huge here.
All right.
So even though I don't think Pantera's put out a new album in 15 years or something, if they came to San Antonio, they'd sell out any building here.
So like Sepultura would sell
Yes.
out.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. 100%.
Okay. Yeah, not the same kind of fans is what I'm going for.
Right. So that's what San Antonio is. Austin, which is the capital of Texas, it's, I don't know, about an hour and a half from here. That has a bigger punk scene than San Antonio does, but it's still not a huge punk scene. I don't know. It's kind of weird.
COVID's really, really screwed over my hometown here.
Yeah.
It's dried up so bad that it used to be I'd have 3 or 4 friends where I'd phone and say, is anything happening in the next month or two we can jump onto? And now nothing.
Oh, wow. Well, hopefully all of that stuff comes back. I know everything's coming back so slowly all around the world. And hopefully that in your neck of the woods, you're able to get out there and play some more live punk shows sometime soon.
Oh, yeah. It wouldn't take long for us to practice it back to perfection, but we're just waiting around. We'd love to put on like a record release party, but that's a big job.
Yeah, maybe you can just, I don't know, fly to Seattle and Portland for a week or two and just do a residency at some sort of a club there. I think that those places have a better punk scene. I'm hoping, because you said you're further on the west, right? Ish.
Yeah, kind of near Spokane, I guess.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. I'll just go on down to Seattle and get some shit started.
Yeah.
Nils, tell everybody where they can find your new album. How would somebody get a hold of this new record?
I'm sure that it's all featured on the Cacophony Clan website. That's the record label. Probably there. Once it is available, there'll be links there. You'll also, I'm assuming, be able to buy it through Spotify. Not the Uncle Outrage website, unfortunately, but you can get a hold of me there.
Why not the Uncle Outrage website?
I just stopped using it.
Good reason.
Yeah. There weren't enough updates, and I'm not really an online guy.
Sure.
There's only so much I can say happened new that isn't bullshit. I haven't used it in a good 10 years. If people want to get a hold of me, I'm at uncleoutrage@gmail.com.
Okay.
And I try and write everyone who writes me back that isn't just like, hey. They did say, hey, I'm not going to make an effort. But if you say more than hey, I'll write back to everybody.
If they engage, you'll engage.
Yes.
So if somebody wanted a vinyl copy of this record, could they just send you an email?
Yes. They can save a few bucks that way because usually I'll cut them a deal on shipping or something.
Sure. And maybe you'll even sign it?
If they want, yeah.
All right, rad. Everybody, go check it out. Again, the new compilation album, it is called Greatest Shit, and it is released by Cacophony Clan Records on vinyl. This is, I don't know, 20 plus years in the making, this compilation album.
Literally.
It is the greatest shit. Who got to pick these? You? Did you pick them or did Cacophony pick them? Who decided what was the greatest shit?
You said there's 19 songs?
19, yeah.
I had about 25 using the time constraint of 44 minutes on the vinyl. I had to chip away and make it sort of together like a puzzle. There are a few tracks that I wish could have been on it, didn't quite make it, but it is the best of those 20 years.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. Well, I know that you're not an online guy and you gave us your email address. Is that the only way people can reach out and find out what you're doing? Like, you don't have social media?
I'm on YouTube. That's about it. YouTube and email. But if you have a more general question or request or anything, Cacophony Records works really hard. They're like available all the time. Whereas I might email you like a few days after you email me. Cacophony Clan knows their shit and like they know what their bands are doing at all time. So if I'm not responding, which is rare, then go through them.
All right, cool, rad. Nils Rasmussen, Uncle Outrage. As we're headed out, dude, is there anything that I didn't ask you or we didn't talk about that you specifically wanted to talk about today, man? Like, did we cover the big bits?
Pretty much. And again, if people have never heard Uncle Outrage, I would suggest either the songs Stay Magical, Sad Ashley, or Worst in the World.
2 of those you just heard by the time you got to right here.
There you go.
Nils, dude, this has been a pleasure. I had a blast.
Yeah, it was great.
I love talking to our Canadian brothers and sisters up there, man.
How much is my accent? I can't tell.
The only time that I could tell you had an accent was one time about 40 minutes ago. You said a boot.
Ah, shit. I'm trying to cut down on that.
I'm trying to cut out on a boot. That was the only thing that sounded Canadian, but the thing that was the most Canadian was that you were just like, no, you don't have to ask me permission to steal my shit. No, it's fine. Just take it. No, it's all good. That's extra Canadian.
Yeah, I think that's pretty safe to say. It's Canadian, yeah.
And don't stop being that kind of Canadian. Nils Rasmussen, Uncle Outrage. Dude, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day and your hectic writing and recording new songs schedule to hang out and let us get to know you a little bit better on Fascination Street, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, well, I thank you. I really enjoyed the time.
Well, it was 100% my pleasure. And you have a great rest of your week, man.
You too. Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much. Opening music is the song FSP Theme, written, performed, and provided by Ambush Venn. Closing music is from the song Say My Name off the 2021 album Underdog Anthems, used with permission from Jack's Hollow. If you like the show, tell a friend. Subscribe and rate and review the show on iTunes and wherever else you download podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. All the episodes are available there as well. Check me out on Vero at Fascination Street Pod and TikTok at Fascination Street Pod. And again, thanks for listening.